Before I get going, I would say, kind of like Ken, like you mentioned earlier about this technical support issue, that hits all of us, especially on the extension side with the specialists. And what the Peanut Commission and you guys and Chancellor Perdue has done for us in securing at least 3 of those to keep them from disappearing has helped us tremendously, because that allows me and Bob to get out and do the job we're supposed to do. Otherwise, if they disappear, we're not available, and that's what we don't want to happen. So thank you for doing that and being a part of that. So again, I got some slides from Pam Knox, our climatologist. I could let Bob come up and do it. He loves talking about this, La Nina, and that kind of stuff. And then I'm gonna try to end up with some predictions on where we might end up with yield. You just heard about the acres. We are up quite a bit, but what does that mean? To get a start, if you looked at where we are at now, the last 3 months have been warmer than normal. June was horrible. It was tough, and then we had all the wet weather there in May. The overnight lows have been relatively high compared to previous years, and that just shows you that the trend of warmer temperatures have persisted. The last several years we've been kind of like that. We are in it now. We do need hot weather, but we need these rains to continue. And so to kind of go into that, let's look at the precipitation. If you looked at March the 1st through the May 31st, heck, you would think we'd be sitting pretty. That just did all kinds of, it gave us all kind of problems in that planting season. It shut us down for almost 4 weeks. 3 good weeks in May when we need to be planting. So it changed this, and it also made us have basically two seasons here. An early one, and we're going to take a lull, and then we're going to have a late one. And that late one may persist for a while. So we're going to have to see how this holds out. If you look at, from here being extremely wet to, again, go to a month going into where we're at now, we're pretty dry. And a lot of people say, yeah, we've gotten rains, and some places have gotten a lot of rain. But we have a lot of dry pockets still. If you look at, and I think I'm gonna show it in a minute, the drought monitor, we're still in it. We're not, we're always 2 weeks from a drought, and that's what we gotta remember when we're talking about peanuts. If you're talking about heat, we look really well right now. We have cooled off. June was very hot. If you look at, there is a degree day model for crops. This is just degree days, has nothing to do with the crop. And from April the 11th on, we're at the top end of that curve for the last several years. We've had a little bit more heat. But again, if you throw crops into that mix, if you don't have rain, guess what? It doesn't matter. And that's kind of where we were at with June. We did not have the rain. So the heat didn't really drive anything because the crops were so stressed. And so that's something we got to look at as we go forward. Now, we want this heat to continue, but we want the rains to continue now that we started to get some. Looking at the situation, again, this is where I should invite Bob to come up, because, we are getting in a situation where El Nino is disappearing. That's the drier cycle, and we're going into more of a neutral condition, and going from neutral to La Nina. Bob, tell me if I'm wrong, but we're supposed to get a little bit more wet as we go forward. Now, as we get into that La Nina, we might draw off later into October, but for the next couple of months, it's predicting that we get some pretty decent little rain showers, and we hope that's true. Who knows? I'm definitely not holding or putting any stock into the weather situation, because it changes. Again, you look at the tropics. They are predicting it to be more active. They thought we'd have more storms right now, but then the dust coming off of the Saharas have stopped that. And so it's kind of held it at bay. Is that going to change in the near future? I'm not sure, but that's kind of what we need right now. We need a tropical storm, not a hurricane, but a tropical storm to come up and drop some water. We really need some rain to carry this crop and to make it what we need it. If you look over, what to expect next month, look at temperatures, we're relatively hot. In South Georgia, Alabama's not quite as much as us, but in Georgia, we're slightly above average in what we're expected to get rainfall in next month, and so that's good. You go over the next 3 months, we are holding in that pattern. And that's a great thing. It's actually a little bit better into the peanut growing areas of Alabama as well. And so we need that. And if you look at the yield potential that we have now, we're still on board to have just as good a season as long as we have everything in check. What I say now, it ain't worth much if things change over the next 2 days or next 2 months. We're going to be not as hot. I mean, South Georgia, yes, but for the most part, not quite as hot. One thing that happened in the last 2 weeks, what happened? We come down about 5 degrees. And when we did and started getting rain showers, the peanuts started growing like you wouldn't believe. And that's what we need. We don't need the 95 plus temperatures. We need it to be 88 to 92 or so. And that is optimal conditions for growth, and that's what we need to see. So based on what we're seeing here, we look good. But things can change in a hurry. And like I mentioned, the drought monitor says that we're still relatively dry. North Georgia's drier than we are, but we're in that kind of no drought area potentially. But again, what that looks like is the whole state is how much rainfall the state gets that has not anything to do with the crop. And that's the thing you got to separate yourself out here is the crop. We get 2 weeks out from rain, we're in trouble. And that's the difference between a state drought. It takes more weeks than just 2 weeks to be drought. The crops, it only takes a few and we're in a mess. So right now, it puts us in a good situation. We're glad to see that. The fall, like I mentioned, not quite as hot, but we're going to stay warm and we're going to be below average once we get into October and November. It means that the potential rainfall is going to back off a little bit. That might be great for harvest. But unfortunately, when do we plant a majority of our peanuts? Last week of May going into June. Those will not be ready until October going into November. And so we really need this rain shower thing to keep going, and we hope it will. So, be thankful for what we got and what we're receiving now, and hopefully it'll continue. That's all that we can say at this point. So let's get to the prediction side of this. I just wanted to put this up, and this is a lot of numbers. All I want you to do is pay attention to the bottom side here. 2021, we were at 1.12 million acres in the southeast. This is the southeast and the delta. We produced 2.3 million tons in 2021. We dropped acres in 2022, 1.01 million acres, but we also dropped in the tons produced 1.87, and then we come back up. 1.1 million acres, produce a little over 2 million tons, and we're guessing, right now the specialists are guessing, based on the 1.22 million acres we have in the southeast, if we just have a good moderate year where we have rainfall and all, we're putting ourselves that we could produce easily 2.439 million tons. That's in the middle. Now, to kind of take that one more step is, all right, what happens if it doesn't go so well or if it goes to be optimum? And that's the thing we need to see. And heck, it'll be optimum to us. It may suck for everybody else, or it may be the vice versa. So I'm just taking it as a whole. If we have 1.2 million acres in a poor weather scenario, if it goes down, and this is based on historical yields where we think we've dropped off in bad years, 2.254 million tons in the southeast. Where I mentioned earlier, if we have a pretty good moderate average year, 2.439, but if we have a good year, we could be as much as 2.6 million. So it's a pretty doggone good range. I think right now we're looking pretty good, even though we got problems. We have problems. We're fighting worms. We're fighting disease. But usually when we're fighting those, well, minus some of the worm issues, we're having a good year. If we're following disease, usually we're getting rain. And so we want to make sure that as we go forward, we as farmers, or hopefully you as farmers, if we continue getting rains and the heat, we got to do our part and manage everything that we can. But we're looking, hey, I think the outlook here at this point is that the southeast for certain could have a very good year here. even if it's just a moderate situation. So just wanted to throw that out there. Again, take that with a grain of salt, throw it over your shoulder, beat somebody, I don't care. Things can change in a hurry. And just remember that. These are just predictions. I don't know any more than anybody else. This is based off what we've done in the past and what we put together, our thoughts. So just wanted to bring that to you. I hope the best for everybody, for every state that's growing peanuts. I hope we can make a good year, because Lord knows we need a little help. We need a little help. So thank you.